My parents called me a dead end and erased me from their lives. Then my son walked into their $250,000 wedding. I stood outside the farm gate longer than I meant to. The metal was cold under my hand, rough with rust. The wind moved slowly across the open land, carrying the smell of dry soil and old grass. This place had not changed. It was still quiet, still small, still far from everything the world cared about. 7 years. That was how long it had been since I last stood here. Back then, I left in the dark, with one bag and a chest full of words I never said. I told myself I would never come back. But life has a way of pulling you toward unfinished things. The barn door creaked open. I heard footsteps before I saw her. She stood there for a second, like she wasn't sure it was really me. Her hair was shorter now, pulled back without care. Her face looked older, but not tired, just shaped by time. Her eyes met mine, and in that moment, everything I had buried came rushing back. We didn't smile. We didn't move closer. "Why are you here?" she asked. Her voice was steady, but I could hear the space around the words, like she was holding something back. "I'm back for my sister's wedding," I said. She blinked. "The wedding?" I nodded. "It's big." "How big?" $250,000. That made her laugh, but it was a soft laugh. A sad one. "Your parents must be proud." I didn't answer. I didn't have to. We both knew the truth. Once, I had stood in my parents' living room, trying to explain my plans, my ideas, my dreams. They looked at me like I was wasting air. My father had said it clearly, with no shame in his voice. "You're a dead end." She had been there that night, sitting quietly, watching. She didn't stop them. I pushed the gate open and stepped inside. Gravel crunched under my shoes. The sound felt loud in the silence. We stood a few feet apart, like strangers who shared too many memories. "You look different," she said. "So do you." Her hands were shaking. She tried to hide it by folding them together, but I saw it. I always noticed small things about her. That hadn't changed. The farm looked smaller than I remembered. The fence leaned more. The paint on the house had faded. Time had passed here, but slowly, like it didn't want to rush. "I didn't think you'd ever come back," she said. Neither did I. I looked at her face, searching for something familiar. A sign. An answer. 7 years ago, everything had broken in one night. Words were said. Silence followed. Then distance did the rest. I had left town the next morning. No goodbye. No promise. Just pain and pride. She stayed. I wanted to ask her why she never called. Why she never wrote. Why she let me walk away thinking I meant nothing. But the words stayed stuck in my throat. Instead, I said, "I won't stay long." She nodded. I figured. We stood there, surrounded by land that once held our future. The wind passed between us like a quiet witness. So much had gone wrong, but none of it felt finished. Not yet. We started walking along the old fence without saying it out loud. Our feet just moved in the same direction, like they remembered the path better than we did. The fence was crooked in places, patched with wire and hope. I ran my fingers over the wood as we walked. It felt rough, splintered. Just like the past we never fixed. "You left without saying goodbye," she said. Her words were quiet, but they landed hard. I stopped walking and turned toward her. "You told me to go," I replied. "You said it was better that way." She shook her head slowly. "That's not what I meant." That sentence opened a door I had kept locked for 7 years. I remembered that night too clearly. My parents standing in front of me like judges. My sister crying, not because she felt sorry for me, but because the night was ruined. And her, standing by the wall, silent, eyes on the floor. I waited for her to say something. She never did. "You watched them break me," I said. "And you said nothing." Her shoulders dropped a little, like the weight finally reached her bones. "I was scared," she whispered. "Of what?" I asked. "Losing them? Or losing me?" She didn't answer right away. We started walking again, slower this time. Flashbacks came in pieces. My bag by the door. Her standing behind me. The long pause where everything could have changed. "I thought if I asked you to stay," she said, You would hate me for holding you back. I let out a bitter breath. So you let me believe I wasn't worth fighting for. She stopped walking. I felt it before I saw it. The air changed. That's not true, she said quickly. I loved you. Loved. Past tense. Then why didn't you come after me? I asked. She looked past me, toward the house. Her eyes lingered there too long. There were things happening, she said. Things you didn't know. That sentence felt wrong. Careful. Measured. Like she had practiced it. What things? I asked. She pressed her lips together. It doesn't matter now. That answer hurt more than the truth might have. As we walked closer to the house, I noticed details I hadn't before. A small red bike leaned against the wall. Its tires were dusty, but not old. Chalk drawings covered part of the ground. Stars, crooked hearts, a stick figure holding another smaller one. I slowed down. You didn't have these before, I said. She followed my eyes and stiffened. Just for a second. Then she nodded. No. You married. I asked. She turned to me too fast. No. The word came out sharp, like she needed it to sound strong. Then, someone lives here with you. I asked. She hesitated. Her hand moved to her pocket, then back to her side. I manage, she said. That wasn't an answer. Something felt off. Not loud. Not obvious. Just a quiet wrongness that sat in my chest. I wanted to push. To demand the truth. But part of me was afraid of what I might hear. 7 years ago, I left thinking I had lost everything. Standing there now, I realized I might have never known what I lost at all. The fence ended near the house. We stopped walking. The silence stretched again, heavy and full. I'm glad you came back, she said softly. I looked at her, really looked this time. Her eyes held regret, fear, and something else. Something she wasn't ready to give. The wedding hall was louder than I expected. Music filled the air, sharp and bright. Crystal lights hung from the ceiling, shining down on perfect tables and expensive flowers. Everything looked polished, like a world where mistakes were not allowed. I walked in alone. People turned to look at me. Some whispered. Some pretended not to notice. My parents were near the front, greeting guests with proud smiles. My sister stood beside them in her white dress, glowing, surrounded by attention. No one looked at me. I took a seat near the back. It felt fitting. I watched my parents laugh with people who once doubted me too. I remembered the day my father told me I would never become anything. How my mother looked away like it was easier than defending her son. I breathed slowly, telling myself I was here for the wedding. Nothing more. Then the doors opened again. The noise faded, like the room itself was holding its breath. She walked in. For a moment, she stood near the entrance, scanning the room. When her eyes met mine, she froze. Just for a second. Then she looked down. A small hand was holding hers. A little boy stepped forward beside her. My heart stopped. He was maybe 6. Dark hair. Soft face. Curious eyes. Eyes that looked exactly like mine. The boy looked around the room, wide-eyed. "Mom," he whispered. "This place is big." My chest tightened. "Mom." She walked slowly toward the seats, her steps careful, like she was crossing thin ice. Whispers spread across the room. My mother turned first. Her smile disappeared. My father followed her gaze. His face went pale. He stood up without meaning to. The boy let go of her hand and took a few steps forward, looking around like he was searching for something. Then his eyes found me. He stared. I stared back. Something passed between us that didn't need words. She stopped a few rows away from me. Her hands were shaking now. She didn't try to hide it. "I wanted to tell you," she said softly, her voice barely reaching me. I tried. My mouth felt dry. "When?" "When you left," she said. I didn't know yet. And by the time I did, you were gone. The boy turned to her. "Is he the one?" he asked. The room felt too small. Too tight. "Yes," she whispered. "He is." My mother pressed a hand to her chest. My father slowly sat back down, like his legs could no longer hold him. The boy walked closer to me, fearless in a way only children are. He smiled. Mom says you build big things, he said. Like buildings. I nodded, my throat burning. I do. That's cool, he said. In that moment, the years fell apart. The anger, the silence, the shame, all of it led here. My parents finally understood. The son they called a dead end built a life they couldn't control, a future they weren't invited into, and a grandson they never knew existed. I didn't stand up. I didn't explain. I didn't ask for anything. I just looked at them and smiled. Not with pride. Not with anger. With peace. Sometimes revenge doesn't need words. Sometimes it just needs truth showing up at the right moment.